Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today I want to take a look at the bundle of fun that is my order of the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. This is a tabletop miniatures game from Modiphius based on the popular Elder Scrolls franchise. I pre-ordered this a long time ago and it was obviously delayed because of what is happening in the world at the moment, but it has just arrived on my doorstep and I am very, very excited. I pre-ordered this from Modiphius directly because they were offering a good incentive because it was a little bit cheaper than buying the products individually from another retailer, and you also got a promotional miniature. It was £90 for the Wave 1 set, which was basically everything to get started in the game except for terrain. And then I purchased additionally a double-sided 3x3 battle mat, which I will also show you. That came in at an additional £39. So all told, this was quite an expensive purchase, but there's a decent amount of product there for what I paid. So before I show you all of the Wave 1 products for the game, first of all I will show you this double-sided battle mat. As I said, this was an additional purchase at £39. It is 3 foot by 3 foot. It is made of a thin neoprene. It came folded in a box, and it does say on the box that it is thin and wrinkle resistant, but it does have some quite gnarly folds in it at the moment. Hopefully those will drop out over time. I would usually prefer to have a neoprene mat rolled rather than folded, but if the creases come out eventually, that's no big deal. Obviously I purchased this mainly for playing the Elder Scrolls with, but I also thought it would be useful for other things like burrows and badges as well. One side has the Skyrim wilderness. The reverse is slightly more unusual. It is a Draugr ruins and it has some really nice artwork. And of course this is going to be a good map for playing the delves, where you take your heroes into the ruins or the dungeons or the caves of Skyrim in search of treasure. Overall, I think it's nice. I think the artwork's nice. It seems pretty bold. It seems relatively sturdy. It is a little bit on the thin side. I think it's thinner than the other neoprene mats I've got. And also, it doesn't have a stitched edge like Games Workshop do with their neoprene mats. I think maybe £39 is a little bit of a push for a 3x3, but it's a nice scene-setting piece. Obviously by no means essential. So the way that Modiphius decided to put this package together, it's a little bit unusual and it's certainly not my preferred method of packaging a game system. What they have done is they have produced a core rules box, which is this box that we have here. This box contains the rules book, the quest book, the getting started book, the tokens that you need to play, the dice you need to play, and all of the cards. None of that stuff is packaged with any miniatures you will buy. Any miniatures, you will just get miniatures. So for this first wave of products, which includes a Stormcloak starter set, an Imperial starter set, and the Bleak Fool's Barrow Dungeon Delve, which comprises skeletons, Draugr, and a Dragonborn, all of those miniatures, the components for using them in the game are in this core rules box, and there is exactly enough components in this box for what comes in those 3 Wave 1 miniatures packs. Which obviously means if you decide you want to buy 2 boxes of Stormcloaks, for example, you won't have all of the components for 2 boxes of Stormcloaks, even if you purchase this core rules box. Packaging the game this way also means that when you buy this core rules box, you may well be buying products that you don't actually want or need. This isn't a problem for me personally because I mainly game with family and friends and I provide the game, so I will be collecting everything that I want for this game. But if you're in a situation where you play at conventions and gaming clubs and you only want to collect one army, you still need to buy this core rules box, which has all of the army cards and things for the factions that you're not interested in. And if they were going to make it like that, I don't see why they couldn't have made a more comprehensive starter set box that had the core rules, all of the tokens and cards and everything, and 2 factions all there in the box together. Regardless, as it turns out, buying this core rules box and the 3 boxes of miniatures from Modiphius cost £90, which means all of those products together works out around the same price as a Games Workshop starter set anyway, which would have maybe a comparable number of miniatures and game components. So maybe it all works out in the wash after all. But enough with this preamble, let's take a look in the box. That's what we all want to do. So the first thing you are greeted with is a set of 3 books, and one of mine was a little bit crumpled. But never mind. I'm not going to go through all these in great depth. There's a huge amount of content here. We're just breezing through it for now. I'm intending to do quite a bit of coverage for this game on my channel anyway. So the first book is Escape from Helgen, and it's like a quick start guide. It gives you the main elements of running the game, and then has a series of 3 tutorials which teach you things like movement, shooting, fighting, and then all the other bits and bobs you're going to need to play your full games. Next up you have the Quests book. I believe this includes 6 different missions that you can play against another player, and there is a campaign system for linking those 6 missions together. And then at the end we have the Delve mode scenarios, and these are designed for solo play, which is particularly interesting to me. Finally, we have the 100-page softback rules book, which looks pretty intimidating up front. It's got lots of nice illustrations, lots of diagrams. I'm hoping it's going to be relatively easy to figure out and work through, but there seems to be a lot here. There's a lot going on, and of course there are rules for being a pickpocket, and I should imagine there's some lock-picking rules in here as well. You get 2 punch boards of tokens, and these are identical, but I have to say they are incredibly thin. They are not Alien vs Predator The Hunt Begins thin for the ping tokens, but they are thin tokens, thinner than I would like them to be. You get a whole heap of custom dice. Generally, I prefer more traditional dice systems than custom dice systems, but I have seen this one in operation and it looks pretty good. I was vaguely worried about the fact that they had red and green dice, but thankfully the green dice are pretty distinct from the red ones in terms of the symbols and things on them. We will look at the dice system in another video, I am sure. You get 5 hero cards, and these cover all of the heroes that are available in the Wave 1 miniatures packs. So we have Ralolf, Warrior of the Resistance, Urserald Thrice-Pierced, the Stormcloak Commander, an Imperial Mage, that's a Mr. No Name, or Mrs. No Name maybe. Hadvar, the Hero of Helgen. And people who are familiar with the Skyrim video game will recognise all of these named characters from the first stage of the game. And then we have a Dragonborn, Champion of Skyrim. You also get unit cards, which are a smaller size to the hero cards, and this covers the regular grunts that come in the 2 faction starter packs. So there are 3 Stormcloaks and 3 Imperial Soldiers. And again, that's what I was mentioning earlier, is if you were to buy another box of Stormcloaks, for example, you wouldn't get another set of these cards. It's not the end of the world, but it's a little bit annoying when things like that happen. You also get unit cards for all of the enemies that you can face that are not controlled by an opponent. So there are skeletons and draugrs and the Draugr Overlord, and then all of the named characters also get an additional unit card. And for each of those enemies there is a matrix response card, which I don't understand yet, but it's some kind of AI system. Because in this game, obviously you can play it solo, where you will be fighting against monsters, or you can play against an opponent but have monsters roaming around on the table as a third party, a neutral faction that will take on anyone that gets too close. Finally, you get over 200 of these small size cards. They include shouts for your Dragonborn, upgrades for ranged weapons, armor, regular weapons, items, effects such as poison, quest cards, treasure, master treasure, spells, traps, and yeah, I think that's it. There's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to show you all of the different decks, but I did just want to show you one because depending on your stance, this is either awesome or complete cringe. But there is an event card called Arrow to the Knee. A stray arrow threatens to end one warrior's adventuring career. So that's the core rules package, which if you want to buy separately, you're going to have to spend £35 for, which I guess isn't a bad price for the full rules and the dice and all of those cards and tokens. But what a lot of people are going to be interested in are the miniatures, and that's what we have here. We have 3 packs of miniatures. First up, we have the Bleak Falls Barrow set, which includes the Dragonborn, the Draugr, the Skeletons, and is basically what you need if you want to play this game solo. And it should be noted that I ordered all of my miniatures in plastic. They did have resin alternatives. I didn't want to risk getting resin, so I got plastic. Each box is a single frame with some bases and some simple instructions. And I have had a quick look at these miniatures, and there's a lot of bits on these frames. There seem to be perhaps more than I would expect, or perhaps more than I feel is absolutely necessary. They are those miniatures where you will see things like the back of the head is missing and has to be attached separately, or the legs are separate when there's no customization that I can see, and there is no change of weapons. You will only be able to build these one way, so they feel like they're perhaps chopped up a little bit more than they need to be. They feel like they're chopped up for customization when out of the box that customization isn't there. Obviously, clever folk will have a field day with things like individual legs, because they will be able to chop things about, mix things up, and have a lot of fun making their stuff look unique. I think the quality seems pretty good. There's some nice detailing. You're not getting Games Workshop quality, but how often do you buy a game and get Games Workshop quality when you aren't buying a Games Workshop game? But they seem decent. They seem nice. This sprue retails for the horrendous amount of £38, I believe, which sure do seem a lot. We are definitely in the high range of prices. Obviously, you are getting quite a few miniatures on there. You're getting 3 skeletons, you're getting 3 Draugr, you're getting a Draugr Overlord, and you are getting the Dragonborn, which is a hero level character, but there is no customization. So yeah, it seems a little bit steep, but you know, you got to pay for that license. Next up, we have the Stormcloak faction, which is Urserald, Roloff, and their entourage of 3 Stormcloaks with great swords. And again, like with the Delve box, we have 1 page of instructions, we have 1 set of bases, and then the 1 frame. And again, quite a lot of bits going on there. You can see some of the things like the little bits of floating cloth are separate elements. Breaking things up like that does often mean you can get a lot more dynamic range in what you're doing with your miniatures, but sometimes it just feels like it's not always entirely necessary. But again, the detailing seems decent. I do like these, and they do seem very screen accurate, which is obviously important when you're dealing with a game that is based on such a popular franchise as the Elder Scrolls. He's just happy to be here. Finally, we have this box, which comprises Hadvar, his foot troops, and an Imperial Mage. And I would absolutely love to be able to show you the sprue with these miniatures, but I cannot because, lo and behold, some more sneaky Stormcloaks made their way into my box, so I have had to contact Modiphius and ask if I can get these exchanged, because as much as I love the Stormcloaks, I don't need 2 sets of them. I want the Imperial boys to fight against. So that's a shame that I cannot show you that at this time. Hopefully it will get sorted out. I do appreciate that Modiphius are working on a skeleton staff, and pretty much lucky to have anything sent out at the moment considering what the world is like, so I'm not holding it against them, and I'm sure they will resolve it. It just may take a little while considering staffing situations and all of that type of thing. So those are the 3 miniature packs available at launch, making up wave 1 of the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. And if you want to buy these separately, you're looking at £25 for each of the starter factions, and then £28 for the Delve. Add in the price of the core rules box and you are looking at a total of £113. So pre-ordering from Modiphius for £90 worked out at a really good price. And I do believe that that price is still available on the Modiphius website at the moment. So it may be possible to get these things at reasonable prices from other retailers, but at the moment, ordering from Modiphius seems like a really good option. You also get this cute ethereal Dragonborn. The Dragonborn in the Bleak Falls Barrow Delve set is actually a female Dragonborn, and Modiphius are selling a male Dragonborn as a separate purchase. I believe it's £15. But this is another way to get a male Dragonborn without having to spend that extra £15. Unfortunately, mine has a broken sword. I don't know if that's going to come out on camera. The bit is in the packaging. As I was contacting Modiphius about my incorrect Imperial box set anyway, I did mention to them that my ethereal Dragonborn had been disarmed in the pack, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure I can figure that out. And that is that. That is my first look at the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. There are a few minor issues that I have. A little bit disappointed in the thickness of the tokens in the core rules package, although the books themselves seem to be good quality and all the cards seem of a decent quality and the dice seem decent, so that's not the end of the world. Obviously, the big disappointment is not getting my Imperial faction, getting that second set of Stormcloak miniatures. Hopefully Modiphius will be able to sort that out. In the grand scheme of things, not the worst thing that's ever happened. Overall, I think there's a fair amount of content here for the amount I paid. Obviously, I did pay that extra £39 for the double-sided mat, but £90 for the Wave 1 products seems reasonable. If you want the miniatures in resin, you do have to pay extra, but I'm happy with plastic. Next up, I'm going to start assembling some stuff because I want to start going on some dungeon delves. I want to start going on some solo adventures. I best get cracking. I've got a lot to do. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you've really enjoyed the video and want to see more of Elder Scrolls, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.